Well, the Kansas City Chiefs making another big splash this week now, getting defensive tackle Chris Jones to agree to a new contract. Here to help me break it all down is SI.com Arrowhead Reports Tucker Franklin. Tucker, last week it was Mahomes' $500 million deal. This week, a lot less money, but still Chris Jones getting paid pretty well considering where we thought these two sides were just last week.
Yeah, and that's true. He went into these contract negotiations wanting $21 million a year, and he's getting $20 million a year for 3 years. Fourth year is a team option, so it looks like a good contract for the team overall, and really for both sides. Now, it's no Pat Mahomes team win-win type of contract here, but it is a good contract for both sides. Chris Jones comes back and plays on that defensive line where he's been a menace at the beginning of his career already. He's primed to have another few good years. Now, what's interesting is 2021, that cap room could be a little iffy. You have to cut some players to get a little bit more wiggle room. But as of right now, this signing looks genius for Brett Veach. He looks like a mastermind.
And let's talk about that. What Brett Veach has done this offseason. Now, that's that whole front office, getting this done with the salary cap, getting everything into play. But there were a lot of question marks. Would Chris Jones be back this year? Sammy Watkins. Demarcus Robinson. You had a lot of contracts. Mike Pennell, he's back too. A lot of questions. And the Chiefs, we all kind of knew the salary cap was going to be a problem, but clearly Brett Veach was able to get it done. And also, this kind of says something about the guys in this group right now. They want to be in Kansas City playing too.
Yeah, I think that was one of Patrick Mahomes' big things about his contract, is that's what he wanted, was guys to be able to re-sign and guys to be able to sign and come to Kansas City so that he can win in these prime years of his contract. You're seeing it work out right now. Mahomes isn't set to make a lot of money until 2023, I believe. And now with Jones signed up until 2023, that'll just be a team option in 2023, and it sets up the Chiefs to be more successful in these next coming years, 2020, 2021, 2022. Maybe do 3 Super Bowls. That's kind of what everyone's hoping for with this deal. But no team's ever done that yet, so we'll see if that happens. But Mahomes' deal really set this up for, I believe, Jones to get signed here.
You look back at this offseason now, because the Chiefs, unless they make a couple minor things, they still got to get their draft picks all in order, and they already know how much money that's going to take. They already know what they need there. Looking back at this offseason now, because this should be it, unless the 52, 53 third person on the roster, those type of deals. What is your overall thoughts on what they did this offseason now?
This offseason couldn't have gone better, really, in the worst circumstances. So you have a terrible circumstance in the coronavirus pandemic, suspending a lot of team activities, and you had, this whole civil rights movement, too, that could have disrupted the season as well. But Brett Veach and the front office stand firm. They re-sign their guys that they need in Chris Jones. Then they get a really good draft pick in Clyde Edwards-Helaire for the number one, for their first-round pick. And really, I think with the situation, this might be one of the best off seasons in history, because they returned 20 of their 22 Super Bowl starters, all of their coaching staff, and they're primed to, repeat as Super Bowl champions. You have to think that, they're the odds-on favorite by a long shot.
Now, the elephant in the room, just 4 months ago, the Chiefs had, $177 in salary cap?
Yeah.
What does this tell us at this point, A, about what the salary cap is, and B, what they were able to do within the salary cap of having $177 at one point?
Yeah, I'm kind of with a lot of people. The salary cap almost seems fake. It doesn't seem like it's a real thing. But these front office executives are so good at manipulating these numbers and these contract terms. If you look at Patrick Mahomes' contract, he doesn't start making his money until later in his career, creating more cap room early on, like in these years. I believe his number only added $30,000 to the cap room in 2020. Something that's way above my pay grade, how I don't understand it, but they're figuring it out. The Chiefs are figuring out how to sign these players, make them happy, and still have cap room to sign other big name players. It's crazy. It's amazing if you're a Chiefs fan, and if you're any other NFL fan, you're just kind of shaking your head like, man, how do they do it?
And I think a lot of people were kind of torn on Chris Jones, what to do with this contract. And I think some people were worried because you had the Eric Berry contract of old, that there's still, some dead money sitting out there in that one. Justin Houston's contract after a big season. They go get Tyrann Mathieu, Frank Clark, last offseason. They get Chris Jones now. A lot of money poured into this defense with those 3 guys. What is your expectations for Chris Jones along with this defense now that they keep pretty much the whole gang together?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a big thing too. Is Chris Jones finally gets his money, and you're always afraid that players are going to fall off after they get their payday. That's a fear across all sports. Now, Chris Jones hasn't really gotten paid all that much. He was still on his rookie deal up until this time when he got his franchise tag. So I expect him to still play the same. He's a great football player, an interior pass rusher that you don't see on other teams. Chris Jones is a top tier guy. Anytime you can bring that top tier guy at a position back and really make him happy and make him want to play for your franchise, you have to be satisfied.
All right, Tucker, I'll get you out of here on this one. Being optimistic here, training camp is supposed to be right around the corner. About not too many days until everybody's supposed to start reporting, getting training camp going. There's a lot of questions from the NFL, NFLPA. What's your outlook right now? Because preseason, they already got rid of 2 games. I can kind of see them getting rid of the other 2 and just kind of keep pushing back until they are able to play this season.
Well, I recently wrote a column for this on arrowheadreport.com, and I don't think that there will be a 2020 football season. It's just too hard. I think logistically, for everything to work out, the travel across the country just doesn't look right. It'll be a disaster. You can't do what the NBA is doing and putting all these teams in a bubble. Logistically, it's a nightmare. If you think, NBA rosters, I made this point, have 17 players on them. NFL rosters are going to have 53. So that just makes it already, quadruple the amount of NBA or just players in general that the NBA has to deal with than the NFL. I think it's going to be very hard with these cases of coronavirus surging still all over the country, not really looking like there's an end in sight, to really play football at this time. Football is a very contact sport, and the coronavirus thrives on contact. So it's kind of hard. I'm not a scientist here, but just looking at everything that's going on, it's hard to think that they can pull off a football season. We have college football conferences going to conference only games to restrict travel, which I don't think the NFL can do that to restrict travel. They can do divisional only games, but there's still, Arizona to Seattle, still a big one. Arizona's a hot spot right now. So it's really tough for me to see anything happening on time just because of the circumstances we're in right now.
Pandemic started back in March. NFL kind of had, I guess, a little bit of a head start, 6 months to get things going. But like you said, a lot of questions still need to be answered on what the NFL can and can't do here in 2020. Tucker Franklin, Arrowhead Report, SI.com. Thanks as always.
Thanks, Chris.